Hello, everyone. My name is John McInnes. I'm the President and CEO of Print Audit. Thank you very much for joining us today. We're really excited to have a ton of people from all around the planet. Thank you so much to those guys that are watching us in the middle of the night, wherever you are, and to those in North America that have joined us as well. We're going to get right to the presentation in a couple of minutes and introduce you to PrintToPeer. But before we get started, a couple of things. One is there is a question pane, and I know West will get to this again, but there's a question pane at the on your GoToWebinar control board. Any questions that you have, please ask them via the question pane, so you have to type them in. We're going to have everybody on mute all the way through the presentation. There's going to be lots of time at the end after we show you how the PrintToPeer system works to answer questions. So there's a ton of time for that. Yeah, our webinar agenda is a quick introduction and outline, which I'm going to do in a second, overview of Print Audit Premier, which will be very quick, and then what everybody's here for is to see how the PrintToPeer works. Then we've got, as I said, lots of time for questions, and then we'll talk about what's next. But first, I'd like to tell you a little bit about who PrintToPeer is and how we got to know PrintToPeer. PrintToPeer is a 3D print monitoring company and a print submission tool company. It's for 3D printing, and I think everybody on the call probably knows that 3D printing is getting to be huge worldwide. I got introduced to PrintToPeer about a year ago and had the opportunity to invest with Print Audit into PrintToPeer and to bring the PrintToPeer product to all of the Print Audit Premier members around the world. Really excited to introduce them to you today. I'll get off the phone in a second, but I'm going to pass this over to West, who will take the presentation from here. West is our VP of Business Development. Go ahead, West.
Well, good morning, everybody, and to mirror John's sentiments, thank you very much for those around the world who have joined in today to learn more about PrintToPeer. And if you can go to the next slide, John. So the PrintToPeer partnership overview, as John talked about, in addition, for all of our Premier members, and those that are on the call are Premier members know about the exclusive benefits that they get for working with Print Audit. But they get a complimentary Raspberry Pi-based print server to start using with their 3D print customers today, which we're pretty excited about. This marketplace, beyond just the size, none of us really know how large it's going to get. But what we do know right now is that the 3D printing market for supplies is not under the same price pressures that we experience in our traditional managed print world, and that we've seen markups as high as 900%. So this is definitely a lucrative market to get into, and we're certainly excited to do our part in bringing that to our Premier members. And next slide. How Print Audit helps. Just a little bit about what we do, and the first point being that obviously we provide all of our Premier members with what we call an intelligent print management toolkit. And we'll talk a little bit more in the coming slides about what that toolkit involves, but it leads to the next thing, which is a new business model. And I started with the MPS world probably 11 years ago when sort of remote monitoring and printers started. And at that time, we knew that the supplies industry was due for a shakeup, and that was from the traditional kind of supplies and fulfillment model that existed then into what we know as managed print today, or cost per page billing and remotely monitoring and managing devices. And that world's changing, and I think if anyone's been to any of the shows lately or worked through groups such as the BTA, that you're discovering that there's a huge opportunity for a transition in this business model going forward. And Print Audit thinks about that every single day and brings those thoughts and applications to our members. And we have 3 promises, which we'll speak to as well, which we hold very near and dear to our heart for all of our customers. So what is intelligent print management and what's in the toolkit? First of all is print assessment. And in the old days, a print assessment was merely going out to a customer site, conducting some meter runs on their devices, and then coming back with a proposal. And that's changing very quickly. We live in a world of big data now, and we're getting a lot more information than we know what to do with. And Print Audit has developed a set of tool sets which help in that print assessment, both from a device perspective, but probably more importantly, also a user perspective. The device management piece is obviously important for the operational side, and where we're moving into is the user and workflow management. Everything that we do in Managed Print to monitor devices and people is useless unless we have some way to actually affect and impact their workflow in a positive manner. And that's what Print Audit strives to do every day, is to develop new ways to do that and to help our members to compete more aggressively in the marketplace. Next slide. So here's a look at the toolkit. What are the elements of intelligent print management? And it's important to understand that it's not just one piece of software, that it is a suite of applications and programs and methodologies that Print Audit's brought together for our Premier members to make sure that they're the best in the industry. You can see at the beginning that there's the print assessment piece of it. We have the assessor, the rapid assessment key, and you can see that there's a very limited sort of competitors which are in the space. Where it's really gotten heavy over the last 5 to 6 years in the device management side. And we have our facilities manager program, which all of our Premier members use, and you can see that there's a world of other competitors in that space as well. And on the user management side, you can see that we have our secure release, our embedded products, our copy audit products, and you can see some of the other competitors that have that piece of it. And the key thing to remember here is that when you're talking about an intelligent print management system and program, that it must contain all of these elements. And Print Audit is the only company in the world that does what we do, that contains all of these program elements for our Premier members. Next slide. We talk about the new business model, and we've worked with our members on the new business model for years. And looking at what some of the elements are today, such as SaaS and subscription-based modeling. And this is important for our members for the way that we deal with our customers. And I'll talk a little bit about that when we talk about solution stickiness. Low cost and flexible, if anyone's using subscription for any other programs they might be buying, you realize that the cost of getting into the program is very small, and it's very flexible in how it can be distributed. And for the solution stickiness side, in our subscription model, we never ask our dealers and our members to sell any software to end users. Because every time you sell software to an end user, you basically give them control and remove the channel out of the equation. And in our mind, it's more important for our members to be able to continue to have that control, which offers additional stickiness. So if someone comes and says that there's a cheaper cost per page down the road, that it's not enough of a reason for them to leave, that our members are providing much deeper levels of service in the managed print world, be it rules or be it accounting and other things, which are being provided to their customers as part of the program. So it's a very different way of doing things, and it's much more benefit for our members. And of course, recurring revenue. Without this piece, none of it matters. We all know that as we look at our business health, we try to build as much recurring revenue as possible. Cost per page revenue on toner and service is one thing, but everyone's doing that. You can also do it on the management layers of what you're offering to your managed print customers, and that's what we offer. Next slide. Sorry, next slide. There we go. So the three promises, and these are very important, and I want everyone to have a quick look at these, is that first of all, I can all agree that the managed print with both provide very good managed print services, and with those who are not providing good managed print services, maybe just simply cost per page billing with inferior products. But the reality is that's where the market has gone. And in order to compete, we can't just keep our new customers. We've got to win new customers and go after net new logos. And the story has to be much deeper and much broader than what everyone else in the marketplace is offering. The second piece is keep current customers, and it goes back to the subscription-based model and the recurring revenue model to make sure that we're offering our customers much more by way of how we manage those environments, how we actually deliver on the management part of managed print to make sure that we're doing more for them every day. And the Intelligent Print Management suite of products helps our members to be able to do that. And the third thing is we help our members to build recurring revenue. Every time they close a new deal and every time they're using part of our Intelligent Print Management suite, they are continuing to build additional recurring revenue above and beyond just the toner and the supplies. Next slide. So without further ado, I'd like to actually introduce you to Tom Bielecki now, who's the CEO of PrintToPeer. There are times in the software world when you get excited about some innovations, and certainly what I've seen from PrintToPeer to date has absolutely blown me away for its capabilities in helping bring 3D printing back to the channel and making sure that there's room for all of our members to be able to not only compete in the selling of the equipment and the supplies, but to actually manage a whole bunch of the process and flow when it comes to 3D printing, which is very complicated. So Tom, without further ado, I'm going to hand over this part of the presentation to you.
Great. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, thanks John and Wes for the introductions and all of our viewers today on the webinar. So as Wes mentioned, my name is Tom Bielecki. I'm the founder and CEO of PrintToPeer. We're managed print services for 3D printers. So when my co-founders and I began 3D printing 4 years ago, we were sort of the nerdiest kids on the block. We were the only ones who had 3D printers. And because of that, we were printing a lot for all of our friends. And in doing all these prints, we recognized how difficult the actual printing process was. We had 3 3D printers at the time, and all 3 of the printers spoke different languages. They had different workflows to send prints to the printers. The typical printing process today looks a bit like this. You have to send a common file format, which is STL. You have to send that through 3 different pieces of software before sending it to the 3D printer. So this is for file repair, it's for processing the file, and it's for driving the printer itself. And as you can see on this slide, the entire workflow is really complicated, and a lot of it comes down to software problems. You're bouncing back and forth between each of the different parts of the workflow just for trial and error, just to get things correct. So you might go through the process, print an object, and find out that the processing on the file was wrong, or that the file wasn't repaired properly, or that you haven't estimated the material usage of the print properly. So what we recognize here is that because most of the problems were in the software, and because most people weren't focusing on the software problems, this was, as software engineers, this was something that we thought we could tackle. And we looked back at the paper printing industry and how things evolved, and paper printers really went through 3 different generations of connectivity. There was serial and Ethernet, and then we moved into USB plug-and-play. And then in 2010, Google Cloud Print came along, Apple AirPrint, and HP ePrint with essentially cloud printing solutions. So this is in the new era of cloud, mobile, and software as a service. And we decided that 3D printers, it is sort of this futuristic-looking technology, but it really is stuck in the past. We're really in the first generation of connectivity. People right now are actually connecting a laptop to their printer, their 3D printer, and even if the print takes 10 hours to print, or 5 hours even, you have to keep your laptop connected during that entire process. We think that's pretty ridiculous. Next slide. So what we decided is to allow you to 3D print directly from the web. So if you could log in from any web browser, from any web-connected device, and be able to see which printers were connected to your accounts, that would probably be the easiest way for anyone to get into 3D printing. So this allows you to manage multiple 3D printers at the same time and to remotely control and monitor the 3D printers that you have. Next slide. Now, to be able to provide networking for existing 3D printers which don't have networking, we had to use an external box, which is called a Raspberry Pi. It's a small microcomputer that's available in many electronics stores. And this Raspberry Pi, it has wireless and Wi-Fi and Ethernet connectivity, and it's connected through USB plug-and-play to the 3D printer itself. And by adding this simple piece of hardware with our print server software, once you plug it into the 3D printer, you can then control it immediately from any web browser. It's plug-and-play, and it really is that easy. Next slide. And now that your 3D printer is on the web and can be controlled from anywhere, what we've recognized is the fact that you can now actually share a printer between multiple people. It's time sharing. And as 3D printers come into schools and offices and corporations, the sharing aspect is the most fundamental part of 3D printing. And because there are so many people that need to share one 3D printer, the actual problems of the printing process get exacerbated. So if multiple people need to go up to the same computer attached to a 3D printer, that's going to take a lot of time. And without print queues, how is everyone going to share it? So we're going to jump into a demo here where I'm going to show you the actual web interface that we've built. It is a working system, and we have many users right now.
Okay, Tom, I'm going to switch over presenter to you. Can you also speak up just a little bit? You're a little soft on at least on my side.
Yeah, I can do that. Okay, can you see my web browser here?
We can. It looks great.
We can see it.
Great. Okay, so in our office right now, we have 2 3D printers connected to this service, but anyone can connect their own 3D printers to their own account. So we have a MakerBot Replicator 2. This is a $3,000 3D printer. It's probably the most popular one right now. And then there's also the PrinterBot Simple. This is a $600 3D printer that we bought online. So I'm just going to jump into what we call maintenance mode. These are sort of this is the interface that most people would use for troubleshooting their 3D printer. It's not something that most people would look at unless there's something wrong with their printer, but it does show you many of the aspects of the printer itself. I'm just going to jump into the other one. So the first thing that you'll notice on this page is that there's actually a webcam feed coming in from the 3D printer. We've got a camera attached to the Raspberry Pi so that you can see your print bed at any time to see its current status and if a print is completed or not. So we've got many profiles of 3D printers set up on our system right now, from Airwolf to Delta Maker, WolfsBot, MakerBot, MakerGear, and PrinterBot. And we've got all of the different material profiles associated with this as well.
Hey, Tom.
We've got.
Could take a second and explain why, actually having a video feed of the 3D printer could be useful.
Yeah, absolutely. So if, for instance, you have a 5-hour print, then you need to complete, and you started at 4 p.m. at the office, and you go home, well, you won't know if your print is completing or failing unless you can actually see the print bed. Most of these 3D printers on the market right now, they don't have feedback mechanisms for you to know if a print has failed or not. So a bunch of people are actually bolting on a webcam to their 3D printers and accessing them remotely. But the problem with those systems is that you can't actually stop a print if the print has failed. So by having this webcam in the same interface that you can control the printer, if you see anything that's happening wrong with your printer, you can instantly cancel the print. And you can also see if the print bed is empty if you want to start a new print remotely. And if you are out of the office and you have a really important print job going on, and the print fails, well, you need to know if you need to go back to the office to restart your print, for instance. So that's why we put in the webcam feed. So on the right-hand side here, we've got all the controls that you would need for your 3D printer. So if I click anywhere on this movement control grid, you'll see that it actually moves the motors to that position. You can probably hear it in the background too, the motors of the printer. And all these commands, you can see them also in this console on the bottom right hand. You can control the fans, the nozzle, the temperatures of the printer itself, and just about every other setting that you would possibly need. So again, these controls are mostly used if a print needs to be maintained or if you are troubleshooting some problems. Most users won't see this. So I'm going to jump out of maintenance mode now. And again, you have to confirm that your print bed is clear because the printers don't have that feedback mechanism. And now I'm going to show you how a print actually gets started. So from our dashboard, you see the two printers connected. I'm going to click New Print, and I'm going to upload a 3D file. So again, these are in a standard 3D format called STL. These can be connected from any, or these can be downloaded from any 3D website or from any desktop CAD package. So I'm going to upload just a basic file that we have here. This is a mustache ring. And we have a bunch of different quality settings that you can have on your 3D printer. You can set up your own custom profiles if you want. I'm just going to use the fast profile now. And I'm going to send it to the MakerBot 3D printer that we were just looking at. So once I add this print to the queue, it's going to upload this file to our servers. It's going to run it through some basic repair and through the processing algorithms. And then it's going to send the process file all the way down to the Raspberry Pi for printing. And while these steps would typically take you through 3 different programs, all this is done automatically in our system. So this would save you about 10 or 30 minutes of time.
And that's really important. The code is in the 3D printing world to realize is that you're not just making the monitoring and management of the physical device easier, but the actual sending of the print jobs to the machine much, much easier.
Exactly. So the code has already been downloaded to the 3D printer, and it's already started a homing routine where it basically brings all the motors to their endpoints, and now it's preheating the extruder. So the way 3D printers work is it's essentially a hot glue gun. So it heats up a heating element, and it pushes plastic through it to melt it. And basically, right now, the nozzle is heating up from 20 degrees Celsius up till 230 degrees. And you can see this feedback coming in real time, and you can also see the webcam feed below it. So while this is preheating, I'm actually going to jump in and start a new print. And I can send it to my other 3D printer. So it goes through the exact same process, and now it's in a print queue. So back on the dashboard, you can see both of these 3D prints in their respective print queues.
So what's really neat, Tom, is I noticed that as you send the print job to the device, that on the floating grid on the right-hand side of the screen, you can actually see a representation of what's being printed, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we've got this a render of each print coming in with the exact size of the print bed, so you can see exactly where that print is going to happen. So it's at temperature now, and the print has already started. You can see the motors moving down here. So typically what happens with these 3D printers is that the first layer happens a bit slower than the rest, just to make sure that it can print properly. And you can see from our algorithms, it's actually told us that that this print is estimated to take about 2 minutes and 6 seconds, and it's going to use about 0.47 meters worth of the plastic that goes through the printer. So we can actually monitor how much material is going through your 3D printer and save that information. I'm going to add a couple more prints just to show you how the queues work.
And that's pretty neat, Tom. So you did mention that you can actually monitor the amount of supply used.
Yeah, that's correct. So yeah, I can actually show you in the completed prints. We have a list of all the prints that have gone through our system on each of the 3D printers, and it does show us each of the print times and how much material was used. Typically, 3D printer owners, especially in offices and schools, they would actually write this information down on paper to track how much each person has used on the 3D printer for costing and such. But what we're able to do here is actually have a database of all the prints that have gone through the system. And if you want to, you can actually restart any of these prints. So I'm actually I'm going to go in and I have cuff links of a Star Wars character here. I can just click print again.
You must be making those for me. So very exciting to see how you can actually float around between sending print jobs and looking at the completed jobs, as well as being able to have a dashboard view of the status of everything that's going on. And
yeah, I mean, having just uploaded 4 files now for 3D printing and preparing them, this would have taken over an hour's time to prepare all these files to send to 3D printers. And often people would have actually downloaded these files onto an SD card to transfer to the printer, which is, physical file transfers. It's a painful process.
Okay, well that was, so Tom, is there anything more that you want to show us? I was thinking that maybe we could do the questions and answers, but if you got more, let's see it.
Yeah, I'll just show a bit of the settings page. So here we have the account settings that you have. What you can actually do is you can input your phone number here to get a SMS notification when your print is complete. So you might be out of the office, you might not have internet connection, but you can still get a notification of when your print is complete. You can also get email notifications of each of your prints. And that could either be sent to you or sent to your customers if you're a service bureau, just so that everyone gets real-time status of their print jobs. We also have a view of all your connected devices. So right now we have 3 of these print servers set up, and 2 of them have 3D printers connected to them. We're also able to connect multiple 3D printers to one Raspberry Pi print server. We also down here have each of the print profiles that you have set up. So if you want to have custom quality profiles for each of your prints, you can add these underneath here. We also have printer types. So if you want to change some of these settings, you can go into there. And we're also building out a catalog of all the different kinds of consumables that can go through your printer. So for 3D printers, this is called filament. It's basically a spool of plastic spaghetti that gets sent through the 3D printer. So we're building up profiles of all the temperature settings needed for each of these prints. And yeah, I think we can go into the question period now.
Okay, why don't we, hey Tom, I think it'll be cool while we're doing questions. Why don't you show the Mo ring being built? So
Sure.
Have the camera going, and I will ask you some questions, and either West, you can jump in too. We got a ton of questions from people, but again, anybody that wants to ask a question, please do it via the question pane. We also had at least one fellow mention that he was having trouble with the sound, so I'm hoping it was better, but we're at the behest of our technology, so we'll see where that goes. But let's watch the screen here. Okay, the first one is this accessible only within the customer network, or can a dealer outside the customer network be able to see all this remotely? So essentially, can this be set up as a dealer seeing the printer?
Yeah, that's entirely possible. If the dealer wants to share an account with the customer, then they can both get the real-time status of all these completed prints and the current status of the printers. That's entirely up to the dealer or the customer.
Very cool. Who or what industry is most likely to use 3D printing now? So I guess this is one of our Premier members asking you how they can, what verticals they can attack.
Right. So I think I think engineering and architecture clients are probably going to find the biggest benefit of this. So engineers, if they're doing early product development, the rapid prototyping, and they want to have more iterations on their designs, they can actually print off little prototypes of each of the items that they're designing. You can also use these in a marketing context if you're creating models for trade shows and stuff like that. And then getting into architecture. So if you are building models of some of your interiors or some of your exteriors of buildings, you would typically have to go through foam core models or actually contract this out to other people. But if you can do this in-house with even just a $600 printer, that's going to have a huge benefit for your firm.
All right, thanks. And we've seen with some of our Premier members, when I've traveled around, we've seen them going after all different types of manufacturing and modeling industries. And these things are selling. We also see Premier members are installing 3D printers themselves and having people submit jobs to them for pay. So as, like you said, as a type of print bureau type thing. Okay, next one. How many printers can you manage on a single instance of PrintToPeer?
So there is no theoretical limit. You could actually, we've built the user interface that as many 3D printers as you want can be controlled from the same interface.
Cool. Thank you. And I'm just checking through the questions here. Is the reprint quicker similar to color prints where a job has already been ripped, which is old speak for a job's already in the system?
Right. So our ripping is done on our cloud servers. So the files come in as pre-ripped files.
Okay. So does that mean it is quicker the second time?
Yes. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Can you get the same type of notifications if a printer fails as you showed us with if it succeeds?
Yes, we're building in controls for all the different notifications that you could have.
Okay. Okay. 3D pay for print with jobs submit. Is it a public cloud? Can I add my printer to the collective opening it up during my downtime? So essentially what you talked about at the beginning there. Talk a little bit about how people are sharing their printers.
Right. Yeah. So there's a couple of different distributed service bureau type companies out there right now. I would say that the largest one right now, who's also a partner of ours, is called 3D Hubs. And essentially, you can sign up if you have a 3D printer to share your resources with people nearby. So people would essentially rent time and materials on your printer, and you could sell prints to them.
And you give them access through PrintToPeer to submit jobs and things like that.
Yeah, so we're building in an integration right now with 3D Hubs so that when someone submits a file to you, it could go directly into your print queue for you to approve or not. Cool.
So I guess the answer on that.
Yeah, and all the quoting is done automatically through 3D Hubs on your exact 3D printer models.
Good. Thanks for that, Tom. Let's see. Do you have a full list of 3D printers this works with? We don't have to show this now. Why don't we make that available after? And so, Daniel, you're the person that asked for this. We'll send it to you if you click in your email address.
Yeah, we can absolutely do that.
Okay, can you review a sample case study of how you would implement this solution in a public library that has 2 3D printers? So give it a try there, Tom.
Sure. Yeah, so if a library has 2 3D printers, you could either have one Raspberry Pi connected to both 3D printers if they're sitting right next to each other, or you could have one Raspberry Pi per printer. And essentially, they would both be connected to the exact same account, just as you see on my account. And then you would, for now, you'd be able to share a user account across anyone who is submitting jobs, or that central technician would be able to control the account and receive prints.
Okay, and you know what? Maybe we can follow up that one very specifically. Wayne, you asked that question. Maybe we can have a quick meeting after just to talk about what the specific case is and see if we can get it to work for you. Tom, another one. How do you see the recent HP announcement impacting the ecosystem, if at all? So I guess HP with 3D printers.
Yeah, I think it's great to see print OEMs like HP getting into the space. the one problem is that the printer isn't going to be released until 2016. So it will be a while until that comes out. But what they have said is that the printer is going to be 10 times faster than existing printers, so it will be interesting to see. Also, it's multicolor and multi-material. Most of the 3D printers that are out there on the market today are single color and single material. With these machines, you can typically print in 2 different kinds of plastic. There's also flexible plastics, glow-in-the-dark plastics, and clear plastics. And you can also print in wood. And I think there's some that can also print in polycarbonate. But yeah, getting into those larger, more expensive machines like the HP one, they're saying that they could do a full range of materials.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it. Are you looking to support larger commercial machines such as Dimension and 3D Systems?
Yes, we're currently in talks with both of those companies to support their machines. It's not currently integrated, but it will hopefully be coming up in the next couple of months.
Awesome. I assume any 3D printer can be added to the cloud, MakeBot or 3D, MakerBot to 3D. So I think we just answered that one with the other systems. So the answer with this one is that we have to support these printers individually, and we're working with the manufacturers. So as soon as we have them, the ability to connect to them, we'll be able to connect them up to PrintToPeer's cloud. Did I answer that right, Tom?
There's and the list of supported printers is up around. It's in the hundreds. There's about 80% of the consumer printers that are supported today with our system.
Great, thanks for that. Costs. As an example, what would the cost of the 3D print you're doing now, supplies, cost of printer use?
Yeah, I mean the electricity use on these 3D printers is very minimal. It's like less than a hairdryer, and the actual material used to print something small like this is like 10 or 20 cents. Plastic is incredibly cheap, so yeah, you can print just about anything for very affordable prices.
Cool. And what's the typical markup on the plastic for people that are selling it?
Yeah, I think I've seen markups anywhere around 10 times to I think it was 90 times.
Nice.
The markups are ridiculous right now. Yeah.
Just like the old days of ink. Okay, did you say that this is a free service to Print Audit Premier members?
Yeah, so John, if you want to talk to that.
Sure. Answering the question, thanks. So yeah, Print Audit Premier members receive one Raspberry Pi, which to start off with, we can certainly get more, but the service is free for Print Audit Premier members right now. Okay, security. How secure are the up and down streams, or do we even need to worry?
Yeah, we're using SSL WebSockets on both the upload and the download, so all of the file uploads and downloads are all secure.
Okay, just taking a look through here, we're getting, when do you anticipate support for commercial 3D printers? I think we answered that one with the next few months. Is that right,
Yep.
Tom? Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, here's an interesting one. Can I have the same level of control on my 2D printers by adding Pi to the fleet?
That's not something that we've been looking into. Yeah, we're totally focused on just 3D printers.
Okay, great. How can a dealer implement this into their MPS program?
Yeah, John, if you can speak to that.
Sure. You know, right now this is fairly new. We know that the market is growing like crazy. It's probably based off of a traditional supplies model, but as I mentioned before, what we've seen other Premier members do is they're either a print bureau, so they're actually doing 3D prints for companies, or they are charging for supplies and service. So, you know, there's a per-page model may not work, but I suspect it's going to become per length of filament or just the straight supplies across the board. But this is cowboy stuff. We're out in the Wild West, but in the next couple of years we'll see lots of innovative office equipment dealers coming up with a methodology to hopefully make a ton of profit. So that's all I can say with that. Okay, how can a dealer implement? Got this. How long until we see nano graphene or biomaterials in the mainstream?
Yeah, I think getting into biomaterials, that's not exactly something that that most mainstream users will have access to, just because of the maybe inherent biohazards and anything else that could happen there. But there's certainly many DIY machines out there that can serve those purposes. For the nano size printing, that's definitely more in the research phase right now. I think they've been able to get down to the nanometer on some prints, but those are incredibly small, huge, costly machines. I don't think we're going to see either of these in the mainstream.
Also known as the Star Trek replicator. All right. Let me see. This is a great question. How many 3D printers do you think are out in the world? And give us an idea of what the growth is.
Yeah, so I would say that there's about 300,000 3D printers out there in the wild today. But yeah, with Autodesk and HP and even Canon getting into the 3D space, I think in this next year we're definitely going to see an incredible amount of growth, especially due to the marketing of these companies, just pushing the entire 3D printing space forward. And yeah, I think with all this continued excitement about this space, we're going to see a lot of lower cost models come out into the space. It's going to commoditize pretty quickly on the hardware space.
Fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to get to the end here because I don't want to bore people too much, but I've got two questions. One is, do you think that the need for 3D printing will grow to the point where everyone will eventually have one? And let's keep in mind that you don't want to Bill Gates on this quote.
Yeah, I think it's mostly going to be in service bureaus for quite a while. I think the technology is still pretty early in the sense that that maintenance is still required on these printers. Like if you can imagine a print jam on a paper printer, well, when you have far more moving parts and even another sort of dimension headed to it, you can get a lot more potential errors. But yeah, I think sort of UPS and Staples coming into the 3D printing market and providing these services is going to be the model for the next little while. But small businesses are going to start using them a lot faster than consumers.
Great. Okay, and the last one, Tom. People want to send you their things to print. I got a couple. Actually, somebody asked their 4x4 animal style. I'm not sure what it is, but can they send us a file and you'll print it for them?
Right. Yeah, we get requests for prints all the time. We ourselves aren't a service bureau.
Just this one. Okay, so why don't we take off the mow ring off of the printer now? Just show it under the live camera feed, and we will get to the end. Wes, do you have anything else?
No, that's great. Very exciting, and by the list of questions that were asked, you can tell that this is obviously of interest to everybody. It's a pretty exciting time to be in this space and to see us leading with PrintToPeer on being able to offer this. We do have a call to action, and there is a couple slides left on the actual slide deck.
Okay, I just have to switch back to me for presenter.
Oh, there's that ring. Look at it. There it is.
Oh, yeah, put it down a little bit there, Tom. Yeah, looking good. Do you want to, why don't you put the camera up and show us what it looks like on your face?
I'm going to tap my finger.
Nice.
All right, your finger. There you go. Okay, I'm going to take over presentation from you now, Tom.
Great. Thank you.
So, Tom, thank you very much for taking us through that. I've seen the demo quite a few times now, and it never ceases to excite me to see the capability that we have in that space. So the only question is what's next? And obviously, if you want to know more, make sure that you do contact us at Print Audit, and we can actually get you a private demo and a more, kind of in-depth overview of the program. We've only skimmed the surface today on the capabilities of what it can do. Respect for everybody's time. So there's a lot more to see, and we certainly encourage you to get in touch with us to set up a demo. The last thing that we'd like you to do is we do have a 2-question survey at the end, and to make this interesting, for everyone that fills out the 2-question survey at the end, which will literally take 10 seconds, that Print Audit will send you a 3D mustache ring in the spirit of November, which is a very important month right now. So please do take a couple of seconds to fill that out. I would just like to thank all of the attendees and the presenters for what's been a very exciting presentation today.
Thanks, everybody. We're going to close out the presentation now, so thanks very much, and looking forward to talking to you about 3D print in the future.
Yeah, and maybe we can just put up the contact slide to finish things off. Thank you, everyone.